Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, on his thoughts about the Browns potentially keeping 4 quarterbacks on their roster.
You got 4 guys. How are you gonna properly get 4 guys ready? How are you gonna get 4 guys ready for the season? And you got 2 of them that are rookies. They need their reps. So between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, one of them needs to go before training camp opens. Now, that's how a normally functioning football team would operate. With the Browns, you can never account for that because it's like they try to come up with new ways to be dysfunctional. And the dysfunctional thing to do is take all 4 guys to camp. I saw Mary Kay Cavick's report from a week or so ago that the Browns may keep all 4 into the regular season and beyond the trade deadline. And that to me was, somebody's trying to get the folks out there who might be thinking about trying to trade for Pickett to realize you're not going to get him for peanuts. We're not going to cut him if we can't trade him. We'll take him to camp. We'll take him into the regular season. We'll take him past the trade deadline. And again, 25 years of doing this, I see that, and I think somebody from the Browns is trying to generate some trade leverage before they would try to move Kenny Pickett, unless they're going to do the dysfunctional thing and take 4 guys to camp. And then how are you going to get 4 guys ready for week 1? And before you can't burn 4 roster spots on a 53-man roster. On quarterbacks, you need those spots for other players. But again, as Juju Smith-Schuster once said, the Browns is the Browns.
Damon, I can see a world where all 4 of these quarterbacks are there. Here's the other thing. I think you could get. Why is it that nobody drafted Shedeur Sanders? He fell to the 5th round. They didn't want him as a backup. Is kind of the bottom line is one worse the distraction is backup. If Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be a guy that figures in, you can probably get him to the practice squad. Because if you didn't pick him up and you didn't want to draft him, you're certainly not going to keep him in your building if you put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, with the quarterback position right now, I'm in the camp of not ruling out anything at all. However, with that said, I do agree that keeping 4 for the regular season past final cutdowns is just probably something that isn't tenable. But I don't think it's out of the question. However, I think at the end of the day, one of the 2 veterans is going to go. At just what point that happens, we don't know. It'll probably be final cutdowns or towards the end of training camp. I think in the beginning of training camp, the argument there to get rid of one of them now so that the rookies can get as many reps as possible. I agree with that, but also Joe Flacco right now doesn't need a lot of reps. The Browns know exactly what they have in him as quarterback. Flacco is comfortable running the offense. And I think a lack of reps for Flacco could help him, at his age, maintain his arm heading into the season. So, there are a lot of variables that here at play, and I know we're all trying to figure it out. But I could only imagine what the Cleveland media market and the fan base would be like right now if they were to cut one of the 2 veterans heading into training camp. Obviously, that you typically think that's a good sign for one of the rookie quarterbacks, and hopefully that one of these younger guys can come out on top. Like I said, with my evaluation, just based on the tape alone, I wasn't there during the draft process and the interviews and the meetings, but Shedeur Sanders to me is a starter in the league eventually, and I think that's sooner than later, as long as he does everything off the field and and in the meeting room and on the board and all that kind of stuff, and I think he'll be okay.
I do want to see him with pads on. I'm curious to that, and same thing with Dylan Gabriel. I want to see him contact in pads against NFL speed. So that's other than that, I think both of them have been okay.